we all speak about the privacy of communication and the right to publish. And that's something that is quite easy to understand, has a long history. And in fact, journalists love to talk about it because they're protecting their own interests. But if we compare that value to the value of the privacy and freedom of economic interaction, actually, when every time we see an economic interaction, or every time the CIA sees an economic interaction, they can see it's this party from this location to this party in this location, and they have a figure to the value and importance of the interaction. So isn't actually the freedom or privacy of economic interactions more important than the freedom of speech?
They're inherently linked.
That's a very tough one.
They're inherently linked.
If we just look from a simple intelligence perspective, you've got a $10 million intelligence budget. You can spy on people's email interactions, or you can have total surveillance of their economic interactions.
Well, the point is
which one would you prefer?
Well, these days, what they will do is they will say, okay, we will just force the payment and bankings to use the internet, so we have both. And that's what they did. So actually, there was this very interesting thing from the cables also, that the Russian government tried to negotiate a way that Visa and MasterCard payments from Russian citizens within Russia would have to be processed in Russia, and Visa and MasterCard actually refused it.
Yeah, well, the power of the US Embassy and Visa combined was enough to prevent even Russia from coming up with its own domestic payment card system.
Meaning that even payments from Russian citizens within Russian to Russian shops will be processed through American data centers.
So when Putin goes out to buy a Coke,
will have jurisdictional control, or at least
when Putin goes out to buy a Coke, 30 seconds later it is known in Washington DC. So this,
and that, of course, is a very unsatisfying situation. Independent of the fact if I like the US or not, this is just a very central, dangerous thing to have a central place where all payments are stored, because it invites de facto to all kinds of usage of that data.
Well, the architecture, I mean, one of the fundamental things that Cypherpunks recognize is that the architecture actually defines the political situation. So if you have a centralized architecture, even if the best people in the world are in control of it, it attracts assholes. And those assholes do things with that power that the original designers would not do. No matter where we look, we can see, especially with financial systems, that effectively, even if the people have the best of intentions, it doesn't matter. I mean, the architecture is the truth. It's true for the internet with regard to communications. The so-called lawful intercept systems, which is just a nice way of saying spying on people, right? That stuff was built, I think.
What's a euphemism? Lawful interception.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
like lawful murder. You've heard about that. The drone
torture.
strikes on American citizens by the U.S. President Obama. You know, when he killed Anwar al-Awlaki's 16-year-old son in Yemen, that's lawful murder, right? Or targeted killing, as they put it, right? So so-called lawful intercept is the same thing. You just put lawful in front of everything, and then all of a sudden, because the state does it, it's legitimate. But it's, in fact, the architecture of the state that allows them to do that at all. And it is the architecture of the laws and the architecture of the technology just as the same as it's the architecture of financial systems. And what the Cypherpunks wanted to do was to create systems where we could compensate each other in a truly free way, where it was not possible to interfere. And with financial issues, it is the most dangerous thing to be working on. I mean, there's a reason that the person that created Bitcoin did so anonymously.